Look at her back. This dude, no.
I love that. Also, that call to action intro song is also a good.
It's not just a good, it's amazing. That's what it is. Speaking of amazing, we just got done watching a spectacular, amazing, gorgeous, wonderful match, IG match. You know, we're just kind of really stepping a wee bit closer and closer, inch by inch, to the tournament champion match, you know, coming up here pretty soon. So I'm excited to get the ball rolling with our competitor and match breakdown today. Paul, Danie girl, what's up, my dudes?
Yeah, you go first.
Hi, everyone. You know me. It's girl Danie Joy here hanging out. I've had a lot of bang today. So, yeah, this was a very fun and interesting event. The Skybound event was really fun to watch. Yeah, it was really cool. Really interesting to see how it all went. I am super impressed with how well they ran on time. Like, everything just went like...
We're not used to that.
Right?
That's amazing.
I know.
We're not used to that. It's not our stuff.
At that idea.
Holy snap. It says at 35 and it is right on time.
Right on flipping time.
Who knew you could do that?
We should hire somebody from there to help us out because we have no chance ever to do that. So.
Is that a pun? Going in today? Is
Could have been.
that an intended pun or no?
No, it wasn't, but I'll own it anyway.
I'll allow it. Yes. I say, like I mentioned, we just got done watching the Chance Ellison up against Robert Parker match. It was amazing. It was so great going into it. And it was the first match, you know, being part of Skybound and all that good stuff. So it's exciting to really get the ball rolling, you know, with that partnership. So I'm excited to really see more from them, and also the merch stuff that just came out. Girl, Jillian, yeah.
I want to know what Jill's making for.
Yeah, I kind of do too. Can we come over, Jillian? Is it socially outdoors or something? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like throw us the food. We'll like catch up with our mouths.
And Danie is correct. Danie is correct. It is a action brand, slightly tipsy, and food, and it's Swedish meatballs. So I'll take a hold of that. That's for sure.
Ooh, I love me some Swedish meatballs. They're delicioso.
Well, it's me. It's PLD. I'm also here, and I'm happy to be here this amazing episode, and with these two lovely ladies, and with our guest that we're gonna pop on real quick. I believe, Alice, you want to introduce our lovely guest?
Oh, absolutely. After we mentioned Danielle as well.
Oh no! I already said hello. Hi.
Oh, okay. No more.
I like to go first.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good up in the hood. All right. Robert Parker, you may know him as the huge rising star within the dungeon. You may know him as the Spider, or you might know him as the greatest fan leaguer that's ever competed. Maybe, possibly. Well, maybe, you know. His name is Robert Parker. What's up?
What's up, Robert?
Hello. Thank you guys for having me on again. It's been like a hot minute since I've been on this channel, but I'm excited to be back. Once again.
Back, and you're better than ever.
That's a thing to say.
I'm so excited just to chat with you over this match in particular. Obviously, I know whenever we have episodes on Call Live where we dive into like our analyses of each match and our predictions and everything, you know, you're always like one of those competitors that really spark a lot of emotions between all of us, you know, as far as like we always have all of us surprise Action Army members. We have strong opinions. Crazy.
Shocker. Yeah.
Crazy. I know. Wow. A lot of arguments and debates for sure. So I'm excited to really going to sit down and kind of chat with you some more today. I know him as friend.
Oh, Sean, I love you.
Damn
it, Sullivan, what are you doing?
we stand, Sean.
Come on.
Yeah, so also heads up for every single one of y'all out there right now. If you're watching this live, we are going to be talking about the match that just aired, the Robert Parker versus Chance Ellison Intergation Tournament match. So we are going to be talking about spoilers. So this is your spoiler alert from here on out. If you have not seen that match, go back and watch it. And then come back and watch this on the replay, and then come out and hang with us.
And we will be watching along with it as we go. But we might be talking over it here and there, obviously, and breaking things down as we can. Of course, it's interesting because we just watched it, so we don't have the like Meg's doing stats for us or anything else. So
yes, we do actually.
She did already.
Yes, we do.
I've
been talking to my girl. Megs is on top of it. She knows her shit. Okay, she's got it ready to go. It's already in the brand file. We're all set. We are in like Flynn. Okay, so going into this match, you're going up against, the Korruption's Chance Ellison. You both are like rookie IG competitors. Well, I guess him technically not one, but yeah, he had like one match last season that he lost. So going into this tournament, he was like 0-1, and you were also 1-0, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, and you were matched against Ace. So going into this tournament, how did you feel? Like psychologically as a competitor, like how are you hyping yourself up, with Kaiser and everything?
It was a complicated feeling, to be honest. Like I don't quite know exactly how it was, because like obviously when the bracket, like this tournament was sort of like, is it happening? Is it not happening? Oh, it's happening. Oh, it's going to happen with points. Oh, wait, it's not happening. Are you going to be in it? Or you're not going to be? Like there was a lot that was up in the air over there a couple months. But then like finally came to happen, and I was really excited. And then I saw the bracket, and I realized that like I probably had the hardest quadrant, and I was okay with that. Like as just somebody who's extremely competitive, I wanted the biggest challenge. I don't want 4 easy wins. Like I want to earn every single point, every single win. So I was excited to, like, no matter what, play people who were really, really good competitors, whether that be Goddard or Chance or Paul or whoever wins the top right, like whatever it is. I wanted to play the best that there were. So I was really excited when I saw the bracket. Honestly, like I saw that I was not going to have an easy road, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, you won your round 1 match, and then you knew you were facing Chance. How did that make you feel at that point, particularly? You have the history, a little bit of the family together, and what were your thoughts going into this match?
So I obviously know Chance personally, from our time in the fan leagues. I've known him for 2.5 years, 3 years. Like I've known him longer than anybody. I knew him way before he was in the Shimodan. So I had a unique perspective on him, just like as a person, and our relationship between the two of us. And it was interesting. Him and Paul was a really great match. And once I found out it would be him and not Paul, I hit the books hard, and I knew that he is somebody who works very, very hard. He has a really good work ethic. So I knew that he's not going to be an easy fight. Nobody's going to be an easy fight for me in this tournament, and that's okay. He's a great competitor, clearly. He's a really, really good player in every division. A triple threat, one of the true triple threats. And when I knew I'd be playing him at Negritum, I just knew that I had to do as best as I could with the questions that were in front of me. And it was not me versus him, it was me versus the questions. Yeah. And once you frame it like that, I think it became a little bit easier to kind of swallow. It was easier to kind of frame it in that way.
Well, like you said, it's not just about the knowledge. It's about being able to know how to just organize that mind palace essentially and navigate it efficiently, and also understand the questions effectively, because some of these questions are purposely worded iffy, sometimes to really kind of psych you out a little bit, and things like that. And obviously with so many movies and so many little niche things, you got to be on top of it. And I know Kaiser, he's mentioned, and you guys talked about unusual training processes, sensory deprivation tanks, and writing out lawnmowers while reading books. And so,
oh yeah, 100% legit. Absolutely, he's a crazy dude. He makes me do weird things, but I tell you what, Kaiser does. Look, he produces results. He gets rookies to belts. He shapes up champions. He is a great friend, a great manager, a great comedian, and he is one of the best things about the Shimodan, hands down.
I agree, 100%.
Absolutely.
Stan a Kaiser.
So. Do you think you could have ever worked with as efficiently with another manager as you have with Kaiser?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I mainly not just because of Kaiser, but also the team around me, me, Zip, Wit, Kaiser, Drew, Vinny, the whole dungeon. Is really a family, and I think that is something that not every faction has. Just that true camaraderie, and I think that is a really, really important aspect of having a great faction that works together well. Is that camaraderie, and I don't think that there's other managers I think I would have worked with well, but none as well as Kaiser.
Makes sense.
Got it. Yeah, love that. Not to mention, it's nice to have that support system with everything going on. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I want more friends. I want more friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, guys.
Should we get going on the start?
Let's
Let's go in. Yeah.
Let me get this. There we go. And we decided to start from the promos. We didn't go through the initial promo, but we're going to go from here.
Do you really have
right now
suits, though?
Here we go.
And let us know in the chat if there's a volume issue or anything like that.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. So, Parker, come at me, man. I'm waiting for you around 2.
Look at that dumb hat.
Chance loves those Steelers, doesn't he?
Is that for Alabama? Is he from Alabama?
Yeah.
As in Bama?
No, I think that's Arizona. Arizona State.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd say. Because I always associate that one with Arizona.
Look, I like my Diamondbacks, but I just wish he changed something up. It's been 2 years and he's still wearing the same damn jacket.
Yeah. I hope it's been dry cleaned out lately.
I know.
Robert.
I've smelled. Guarantee you it has.
Wow, there you go. Shots fired. We're ready.
So I played in the fan leagues for about 3 years. So I played with people like Chance and Paul and Smets and all of the above. And
Are you sure you want to play with Kaiser?
Kaiser's so stupid. He picked a kid who didn't miss a freaking quest in the entire game. Boy, I must really not know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Dungeon isn't going to lose a match in IG, so everyone better get out their VHS.
Yeah, it was surreal, man. The draft night was crazy. In the before times, before we in the before quarantine times.
I remember almost crying for you.
Well, the Empire.
It was crazy.
When Kaiser announced your name, we just exploded at the table.
Yeah.
Dude, nobody was more shocked in that room than me. Guaranteed.
You're the first one to come over and do it.
It just, I feel like what's really nice about Schmodown is that whenever anyone is ever drafted, there's a lot of genuine love and appreciation.
Sure.
Just because, I mean, especially someone in your situation, you have to, I feel like you have to work that much harder in order to get attention, you know?
Yeah, I think part of that's true. Part of it, like, it's weird, like, being a rookie in today's era of the Schmodown. Like, 2017, 2018, like, those days of, like, coming in, like, having a match and going through a lot of water, like, that's kind of gone.
yes,
Just like not only have the questions and division changed and the league has changed, but like also just the way that the fan base has kind of evolved over the last couple of years. It's
100%.
No names don't really come into the show anymore. Like there is a level of hype for any new competitor, no matter what, and I think that's really interesting.
We're scouting. It's like we scout more.
Exactly. Like there's no like the age of like random critics or pundits coming in for the first time, never having seen the show. That doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah. That's pretty funny, Julie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was so good. I remember. Oh my gosh, girl, I remember crying.
Yes, Andy Burnett. That is
like, he worked so hard. He wants it so bad.
Just once again, Nerd Chronic.
Oh my gosh, that was so awesome in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta, yeah, I almost biffed it. That was real. That was close.
I know that I can beat anybody who has ever
What could have happened? That's like it just at that moment in one reality, you totally did biff it.
100%. I didn't even miss the jump. I like clipped my foot and like fell flat on my face.
I'm like from that one moment.
Exactly. There's a reality where I just fell on my face instantly at the Atlanta.
As you see, Mark, it's heated. No one would have thought that Shannon and Kaiser weren't going to go after each other, and they would have been right. They didn't go
an extra.
They didn't go just after each other. They went after each other's competitors.
Like Saturday
they went
Night
after
Fever
the
or something.
factions are better. And look, at one point, Korruption was in the cellar.
I gotta
They were in
say,
the That's not the case anymore.
low key,
Korruption's
Ellis's
starting to
name
climb and
changes
it's starting
throughout
to
both
climb
tournaments
fast.
have been like.
Shannon
it's great.
has let the top dogs
What is Victor
go,
Free?
and top
Creed
dogs
from?
are delivering.
He's Sabretooth from
needs
X-Men.
this. Because if
forgot
Parker
about that.
does not win this match, not only does it take away his stake for Rookie of the Year, it puts the Dungeon in a very, very difficult spot. It puts it all on the shoulders of Eric Zipper to try to stay in this thing because they don't have the strongest competitors in singles and teams. They have people who can compete, but they don't have superstars like the other factions.
Yeah, and you watch Cobra and Spider in that pre-match interview, and you just say, "What happened?"
I think they have a rookie or two that might surprise people.
Just being happy to be here. Well, Christian, at the
Korruption,
lightning pace that this league,
you guys,
this show, in this particular division,
I really think
moves at is that you don't have time to look around.
I think we're going to show up in the singles tournament more than people think.
Now you're here.
I know Andres Gallego is very good at a lot of
tournament. And I think both these
he's been in a couple of study sessions with us. He's a great dude. He's a smart guy.
Other managerial components.
Well, speaking of which, the feud has been going strong this season.
Are you
Last year, he said he
comfortable
was scared
making
of Grace and
promos,
scared of
Parker?
Shannon. Well,
Or do you,
I
like,
wonder if he's still
practice
scared of
and
Shannon and
everything, like,
Korruption.
beforehand?
He's got a couple victories already in the past.
I am
and he
not
did it here today. It is the
great
manager
at
of the
improv.
dungeon, Kaiser. And of course,
I'm okay,
one of his
but
arch
I
rivals, the Queen
prefer
of
having
Korruption,
something prepared.
Shannon Barney is here. Let's start with you, Shannon.
That's part of the reason that I like stand-up so much is because I know exactly what I'm going to say before I go up on the stage.
How are you feeling
it's
going
not
into this match against the
thrown
dungeon
at
and
me
Robert
like all of
Parker,
a sudden.
the phenom?
I got a great night of sleep. I'm
like
feeling
promos
good.
because you can take
we are
multiple
ready
cuts.
to do this.
You know,
I
especially
am
even
so
like
friggin'
now
excited.
when matches are virtual, like I
Kaiser,
can film
you,
like 6
you got
cuts and like
Parker.
pick
He
the
was your
best
number
one and
2
then
draft
send that.
pick
You know, and so
overall. This is a
I
big,
prefer
big
it when
match. Chance Ellison,
there's
former teams champion.
more prep.
He's got a record of 1-1 so far in the Intergeekdom division. Any hesitation going up against the Cobra here today in round 2?
The first try is like never the best one.
Well,
yeah, oh for sure.
Yeah.
My promo
I'm not afraid of anybody.
It's the first time you're making a lot of it. You're doing a lot of fuck-ups.
Absolutely.
You know,
In the best way possible.
No, you're absolutely right. You didn't even see how much footage was cut out of that. Like, you're absolutely right.
So I expected, actually, I didn't even
I
know
still think that Nerd Chronic should have like a Patreon tier where it's all his like material that never made the final.
Oh yeah, all the outtakes. That'd be good. That'd be good.
All right. Well, strong words from Kaiser to open up as with Shannon Barney. Now, Kaiser, going to start with you, and then Shannon, I'd like you to answer this question as well.
Now that they say it,
competitors.
they're not kidding. Shannon and Kaiser are like two sides of the same coin. They really are.
They have a lot of
very similar.
Yeah. Precocious age. What do you tell them going into this match? And how does it differ from what you told them in previous incarnation?
Like, would you be surprised that you found out that they're like long lost twins or something?
Twins, no, but maybe cousins. I could say maybe.
Yeah, there may be some kind of distant relation.
I remember back in the old Showdown days, whenever people would make a bunch of memes.
Need any confidence.
Like imagine someone making that meme of Karen Shannon like doing the Danny DeVito
of someone who knows how to win championship belts, and that's how you become a big deal in this league. So I like his chances. I think this kid is going to be tough.
I do miss
Chance Ellison is a
fun
hooper.
memes. Like they would just play him right before the matches. It was so
right.
I know that he hangs out in My Little Pony section at Toys R Us, so I was able.
There's got to be just so much gold left on that floor, man.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I don't disagree.
Right,
I don't doubt it.
Your opponent, who looks like he's about to be felled by Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Oh, Kaiser, what do you think of my little
Chance
CD
Ellison
picture
this match?
thing? I posted on the Dungeon fan page earlier.
Kaiser sent about 40 minutes of footage, and most of it is just him singing along with like hard rock. And I don't know why they cut it. It's brilliant footage.
We're not afraid of Robert. We're not afraid of the dungeon.
That's true. I have no doubt.
The dungeon has nothing on us. And by the way, Kaiser, you are afraid because we're too similar and you don't like that. You can't.
Mine too, Andy. I love that shirt. The Peaky Blinders shirt. That's a good one.
On the same parallel. It gives you a little heebie-jeebie.
I don't remember if he's wearing the hat in that match, but like when we played against Ace in studio, like he wore that hat, or he wore that shirt, and like he had a
2 managers,
like Newsies hat basically on. It was like it was a good vibe.
It is 2 of the hottest factions out there today going head to head. Good luck to you
Alex,
both.
there you go.
I'm gonna put you in the waiting room here. Here we go.
As a music man, I appreciate that.
So you heard it. I mean, who wants it more? That's going to be the big question. They're both managing really, really well. Korruption started out in the cellar, but you gotta give Shannon the credit that she deserves, and they are making a heavy push here, and this could be massive.
It was great to see. We had 1,000 people watching.
Oh yeah,
on Skybound.
This is literally my first time watching it. I wasn't able to watch earlier.
It's going to be a huge.
Like I put it on, like I had like 400 people on, like during a lot of the expo. All of a sudden, the Showdown came on and it jumped up to like about 1,000.
Yeah, and then the beer fairy flies in at midnight, replaces it with a whole new batch in his fridge. We'll know the answer to at least one of those queries as soon as this match concludes.
Good question. Good question, Andy.
Be drinking on his next show.
Not even a competition.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
You are biased. They're both.
Yeah, that's true. I have very clear bias.
Showdown.
They are both.
3 rounds.
I'm kind of curious why Kaiser would come up with if you were to make a theme.
Introducing first, representing Korruption with a record of
salute to David B, of course, always.
One
Love David B.
in the inner
One of the most talented people working on
division.
Absolutely.
He is
110%.
the former movie trivia schmodown.
Yeah, Danny, you're right.
You're right. Don't spoil it for me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what happens.
There he is. Chance Ellison, former teams champion, youngest champion. We've
Now,
ever had.
going into this,
competitor here.
I
Chance,
have a hard time
of your
believing that
Intergeekdom
either
matches have been
you,
competitive.
Parker,
First one where you
or
lost,
Chance
you
are
bested
like
Chandru,
not
who's
okay.
now the number
Like
one
it is
contender. You
like
barely lost to
almost
Brandon
like
Hanna in
rookies.
that
It's just
first
like
Intergeekdom
based on your
match. You weren't even supposed
statistics
to
and
be,
everything.
you surprised
Your
everybody at the end.
stats
And
are
then you had that
ridiculous.
really great performance against
Like
Paulo
these are
Yama.
not rookie
Is
competitor
Intergeekdom
stats.
a hidden strength that people just
I'm
didn't know?
So amazed.
Look,
Yeah,
when that first
2020
match,
is just
when that
it's
first
a
match
strange
happened,
season.
it was
As
because,
far as
a certain
like
corrupt commissioner
statistics and
tried to
like
come in
people
to
getting perfect
embarrass
first
me. I
rounds
proved him
and
wrong. Didn't come up with
just
a win, but I
like
proved I
in
could hang in this
general,
league.
like
Now,
it's
year later,
by like
all the time
they
to prep,
call it the
all the
nerve,
time
but
to
it seriously
practice,
is.
all the time to hit the trivia gym
In the sense
with my
that like
boy Mike.
every single
And, yeah, I've
competitor
proven
who
that
is
I can be
serious about the
legitimate
game
in this
has
which is what
stepped
I
up
wanted to
their
begin
game
with.
in every division that
All
they
right,
play
but
in.
Chance,
It's
about to
amazing.
face an opponent unlike any we've
It's kind of crazy
seen
to me, especially with like we were talking to Craig not too long ago, and he was talking about
has so much buzz, gets a high draft spot,
like his
and
training
wins matches
process
left and
and
right.
how
So
much
is there any sort of
time
prep difference that
and
you have to
money
make? Any sort of
and just
adjustment you have
overall
to make
effort,
in
obviously,
your study
just
leading
putting
up
into
to
time and
this
be like,
match
I have no
against
desire to
the
watch this movie, but I
No,
haven't
it's a matter
seen
of
it
making
technically,
sure
so I
I
have to
know
watch it.
all
Dang
I
it.
can know.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
yeah.
You know,
We
so
had his
it's
first 2 matches against
kind of crazy, but also it's
a
like
rookie.
it's almost like for
Actually, 2
you.
rookies, I should
It's
say.
like I know
See,
I don't
I'm
want to
not
see
a
this movie. I've
rookie
seen it 20
partially
times
just
by
push
now.
around. I'm
Yeah.
a senior. I've been in this
It's slightly
league
different for
for
Intergeekdom
3
too, because
seasons.
like with
So
IG
I
you
know what I'm
have
doing,
you do have a set
and
number of
I know how
movies.
to prep for a battle.
I mean, people will
All right. Well,
debate
Chance
how
Ellison,
many movies
former
actually
teams
in there.
champion,
Like my
who
number may
also,
be
by the
different
way,
from
has a
Smets's, maybe
shot
different
at the
from
team's title
you know
coming up.
Chandru's,
Whatever
maybe
those
different from
matches
Chance's,
will
maybe
be
different
able
from
to swing. So
Kalinowski's.
here he is
But like
now in
there is a
the
pretty good
quarterfinals
idea.
here against Robert Parker. All right,
But
Chance,
with
gonna put
singles,
you in
especially
the
when you
waiting
talk
room
to
while we
somebody
get
who
to your
does
opponent.
teams and singles and stuff like that, it's insane
And
to hear
his
that
opponent,
kind of study
representing
regimen for
Yeah.
like
the
because
dungeon
that
with
is
a record
anything. I mean,
of
they ask like obviously
2
not
wins,
as deep questions,
no defeats,
but there's still
and
just such a
1
breadth of
knockout.
knowledge you have to compete in those divisions.
The Spider.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially for rookies. Like a lot of competitors, they kind of catch the bug. You know, like Guy, Bateman, and Merle, and everyone. You know, initially they're like, oh, this is fun and all, but I'm not actually going to study. It's all about like just the natural knowledge you have. You know, I'm a natural fan of DC and MCU and all that good stuff. So I'm going to do fine. You know, now you used to be able to get away with that until like a few seasons ago, but now
Yeah.
like people have binders and note cards.
Absolutely.
And
We're
it's
not.
all the
We're
time.
not. Absolutely. We're not playing in 2017 and 2018. I think 2017 was sort of the birth of the modern era, like the true modern era of the Showdown, where we had whiteboards in round, like the modern format at least. Whiteboards in round 1, and perfect rounds started in that season. And like the teams tournament was like the first modern teams tournament, like those kind of things. But like 2017, 2018 is not the era that we're playing in right now. It is not.
Yeah.
With the degree of competitor, the degree of question level, like all of those things combined, it is just not the same as it was then.
Yeah, not to mention the fandoms, not to brag, but I don't like to say we have a higher, we demand more of competitors, but at the same time, like
it's true. No, you're right though.
We are quick to tell you you're wrong.
Well, and that's not a bad thing. That just like has something to say for the passion of the fan base. Like they are so passionate. They have been watching for so long. They've seen the game evolve as it goes on, and now they expect people who enter now to be on a competitive level.
Yeah,
All right, well, look,
absolutely. But same also for the managers. You know, hats off to like Kaiser and Shannon and Winston, all these amazing, fantastic managers that are also not only just putting in the very conscious effort, doing stuff like promos and cool stuff, all that, just being there during the actual filming of the matches, but I've been told there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that these managers do for you guys.
Yeah, it's not these like the old time managers used to just kind of show up. They might say something that'd be about like they a little bit of promo. But nowadays, like I mean, they're really kicking ass. I mean, Winston. There's a lot of times I'm seeing players who might not make it as competitors, like someone like a Winston Marshall who did okay, but never really quite made it. They can shine in the managerial role, and that's what you're seeing nowadays. All the managers have made great steps this year. I mean, Coy's been doing great. Winston's been shining star. I mean, there's been Shannon's made her name. Of course, Kaiser's a legend. It's all amazing to see what they're doing.
I miss him not being able to take my suit coat off. Now I have to hang it up on my lamp instead of because in the first match I handed it to him and he took it off. And that was like one of our like big points, but can't do that anymore. So now I have to hang it up and then roll up the sleeves instead of him taking it for me.
Yeah, you know what? He's there in spirit.
Exactly.
He's there spiritually taking your jacket.
That's absolutely true.
Having that moral support definitely has to be a big help in a match in general. So managers have really truly stepped up their game this season, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, I agree with everything that y'all said.
I like seeing the different matchups. Like I can't wait to see a Dungeon versus Rockstars. I love Roxy and Kaiser going at it because Roxy's also good on the mic too, and they're all great at the mic. That's what it is. But those great interactions between the specific things, it's great to watch those.
All right, we start.
Very different personalities.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Chance, are you ready?
Let's get it.
Then let's get ready to
This is so cool.
All right, here we go. Question number 1, category number 1. This is from the MCU, gentlemen.
Good news, folks. If this screws up here from the Skybound site, Christian posted it on the Schmodown YouTube channel, so we can always hop over there.
Oh, yeah, it's premiering on there, I think, yeah.
So we need to.
Good to know.
Good to go.
Well done, Mark.
To lead the horse to water.
5.
Not yet.
4. 3. I don't need another challenge. 2. 1. Hands down.
It has been challenged centuries. That's for sure.
Sure.
It is. Chance.
I do low key feel bad for Harloff and Ellis when it comes to those challenges.
Right.
Just because, obviously the competitors, they're in the right. If there needs to be a challenge, a win or a loss is at stake. So issue those flipping challenges for sure. But at the same time, I just kind of feel bad for them because every time they hear a challenge, they're like, oh, fuck. Hey, man, what's wrong now? No.
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of both good. It's that fine line between being good and bad for the league. Like, it's good because it actually causes a lot of entertainment. It's very exciting. It's very like, oh, what's going to happen? It's going to happen. But then you get too many challenges. It's like, well, what's going on here? Why isn't this more specifically like why all these challenges coming? It should be rules to dictate this kind of thing. But it's still developing as well. But I gotta be honest, I love the challenges.
Yeah, I like a good challenge.
What is the name?
Parker, do you do any training as far as being able to read and recognize challenges effectively? Because I know it's something that's pretty hard to kind of really train on, but it comes up,
Yeah, I think most of it is really just experience playing the game, and that comes with playing really in the fan leagues. Like I played there for 3 years, longer than Paul, longer than Chance, longer than anybody who's playing there now. Like I really have been there for so long and played so many matches in so many different formats and divisions. I think that's really where it comes from, is just experience playing the game and trying to catch your opponent off guard, trying to catch a question that's not quite correctly worded, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm apologize for a second.
Experience. Yeah.
I'm apologize for a second. I have that last question. I have a question, Robert, the Mithril question.
Yeah.
It looked like you were thinking hard on it. Is that because it's not really the name of it? It's kind of like what it is. It's like a type of material?
It's not. Exactly. It's not. There's no name for it. It's not the mithril vest of blah blah. Like it's the material. It's like the same as calling it like an iron vest or a bronze vest. Like it's the material it's made out of. So that's why I didn't know if there was a name of it that I just didn't know over my last 22 years of knowing Lord of the Rings that I just never knew.
All I'm hearing is that you just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
I was watching a lot. I saw that. I thought the same thing.
You're a very passive watcher.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I haven't seen it dozens and dozens of times.
Yeah. Well, it's not the name. I think that was in the same thing. Like, it's not the name. And I saw you look. I'm like,
I was
same
like,
thing I'm doing right now.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah.
Totally. Now, this one in particular, this question for question number 4 with Lau, you know, I do believe this is like the first question I believe you got wrong. Okay, so this one, I feel like I feel like you like need a minute to like write out a paragraph, essentially. So how do you feel like these kind of questions?
This specific question. So first off, I like that the round 1 questions are getting a little harder. I think they should be. This specific question is really interesting because like you don't actually see him die. Like you see, like I first off, I should have gotten the question. This is not a predictable miss for me. This is something I absolutely should have gotten. It was my first gut instinct. I went against my gut, and I got it wrong, and that's perfectly fair. You see him like tied up on the top of the thing of money, and Joker lights the money on fire, and then it cuts to the next scene. Like you never see like when you see like images in the movie of like people burning alive, you see them like running through like on fire. You see the corpse later, like that. None of that ever happens. So you just see him at the top of the pile. So like it's just a little bit of a leap to like have to assume. Yeah, and like trust me, this hurts. I've seen The Dark Knight 100 times. Like I love that movie, of course I do. I've seen that movie so much. I can tell you 1,000 things from that movie. It's a really good question, and it's a very specific moment, and you have to make sort of this mental leap to make that connection, and that's just not in the timeline. Even with a repeat, that's just not something that I felt comfortable making, so I went against my gut, and I got it wrong. That's totally on me. That's not a predictable miss at all. I've seen that movie 100 times. But yeah, that is, I think, the only question I miss in this match that I really should have gotten.
Right. Okay.
Chance,
fair enough.
First lead here, 4-3 over Robert Parker. So Chance.
Now, at this point, are you starting to kind of doubt yourself at all, or are you kind of like thinking, you know what, I still got this? Like, where's your mind at?
Yeah, I especially in IG, I don't really get shaken no matter how far down I am. I don't get nervous. Oh, that's not true. I do get nervous, but in a good way. I don't get shaken. I don't get like down on myself. I don't beat myself up. And that's a lot of that is experience in the fan leagues. Like I miss a question. I say, okay, I missed it. Let's move on. I'm not going to beat myself up for the next 4 questions and get in my own head, because then I'm going to miss the next 4 questions.
Right.
So I let it go really quickly. That's something that like I really think that is a huge experience advantage of just playing matches a lot, is letting go when you miss stuff.
So you think that just comes down to experience, essentially, be able to read and recognize those moments efficiently?
Yeah, I think when you miss, I think there are a lot of competitors who beat themselves up over every single miss, and it throws them off for the rest of the game. That didn't for me. And one miss will never do that for me. I was not down on myself. I was never doubting myself. I know what I'm capable of. I am confident. Yeah.
I love this.
I just needed to check on his handwriting. It's never been great.
I wanted to ask if that was like, were we real looking, or were you just trying to get in his head?
No, that was not trying to get in his head. That's 100% real. I could not tell if he spelled it right.
Okay.
All right, question.
That actually, you know what? Just to like, it actually goes back to the challenge issue. Are you someone like? It seems like there's different mindsets for challenges. Are you someone who might like throw a challenge that you're not even sure on, just to kind of like stop momentum, or to like maybe risk a Hail Mary kind of thing where you can convince somebody if it's like a question, or
I would rather challenge a question than an answer, if that makes sense. Like I'd rather challenge that question wasn't worded correctly than my answer or my opponent got it wrong.
Okay. All right, makes sense.
Especially in IG, it's not really worth, in my opinion, in IG throwing out a challenge to try to get in your opponent's head. Like it's not really, because like being in your opponent's head works, but it's not as efficient as making your opponent miss a question or making yourself get a question because of a challenge. That one point is way more important in IG off of a challenge. So I'm one who's much more worse to be like, or I'm much more likely to be like, oh, that wasn't quite worded right. I think that's challengeable, or I'm more willing to do that than say, oh, that's not quite right. My opponent missed a letter. Like,
right.
If it's a clear miss, I'll challenge that, but I would rather challenge a question than an answer.
Makes sense.
Yes, it is.
Makes sense.
Parker?
And I feel like that's also a confidence
8 to 7.
level as well.
Yeah, like clearly I knew that he had Durmstrang right. Like he went first. He clearly knew the answer, but if he had misspelled it, yeah, I might challenge that because that means he doesn't get a perfect round, and that is monumental in IG.
You know, Chris,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Molly licks my face all the time. I love her. I think Taz just took it to another level.
Man, that movie is so bad.
I couldn't stand.
It's so bad. Ugh.
5, 4.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in theaters in Chicago. I saw that the week of the Chicago Schmodown.
Yes.
I saw that.
Oh,
yeah, the week
really?
of the Chicago Schmodown last year. Yeah, I saw that in theaters. That was the first time I saw it.
What do you think is the worst movie that you are required to watch in IG?
Oh God, The Spirit.
Spirit? Oh my gosh, I forgot about that movie.
If we're including or if we're taking out like mixed bag stuff, like just purely the core 8 categories, it's Electra.
Fair enough.
But also they don't ask about bad movies as often as they ask about good movies.
Yeah,
This is something
Calvin
I
or
want to talk about quick.
All right, go ahead.
So, I actually after like the Atlanta event, I talked to Bateman actually at the bar and the restaurant and stuff like that. There are things there are questions that are very predictable misses for certain players, and there are unpredictable misses. For me, missing Dark Knight question is an extremely unpredictable miss.
Right.
Like that's not something that I should miss.
Right.
For me, for this, the mask question, that's a very predictable miss for me. I have seen that movie a number of times. I don't like it. I can tell you 20 other things about that movie. I can tell you character names, and I can tell you actors and composers and directors. I can tell you like locations and all this stuff.
Right.
But that specific quote, I didn't know. So that is a very, very predictable miss for me.
Gotcha.
Plays Professor James in 2014.
That makes sense.
Kingsman.
Also,
like, I talked to Bateman about it. Like when Bateman missed the Night Before Christmas question. Like a lot of people in the audience knew that. And a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, you missed that!" But like for him, that was really predictable miss. Like you kind of like guess that he might miss that. So that's where like the difference between the Dark Knight question and the Mask question. Like I have seen The Mask a number of times, and I don't like that movie. And I can tell you a lot of other stuff about that movie, but not that particular quote. Even if I'd rewatched that movie the week before, still probably would have missed that question.
Right. Because that's not there's the stats of a movie. If you don't like it, you know the stats, but you may not know the heart of it.
Even the stats, I know the dog's name in that movie. I know the name of the club in that movie. I know the name of the second hand to the like main villain in that movie. Like I know a lot of crap about The Mask. I just couldn't pull that particular quote.
Makes sense.
We'll give you 4 options.
Yeah.
One of which is that answer you're looking for. At that point, the value of the question goes.
Now, going into the second match, how did you know all the slices beforehand, or not really?
I don't remember. I don't remember. Like that's like not just me like playing coy. Like I genuinely don't remember if we saw the wheel for the match or if we saw it for the first time now. Either way, like seeing that his bonus was a little bit easier at like being down 3 points is a little bit hard going into the second round because that's 2 full questions.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had to kind of I knew he was going to go first. I just knew that. Because the way he's played past matches when he's up, like I just knew he was going to go first. So I had to bank on him either missing and me getting a steal or him having to go to multiple choice like twice. And he got a category he's comfortable with. Like I don't think I ever like lost my cool. I don't think I was ever shaken by like anything that I missed. Like I never let it affect the rest of the game. But yeah, he had a solid round 2, and that's commendable. Like he's a really good player.
Yeah.
Do you have to watch is Son of the Mask?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I can tell you like 15 things from that movie too. That's the fun fact. Maybe this will be a question someday. That is the only non-MCU movie that features the character Loki.
All right, Shannon.
The character Loki is in Son of the Mask. Yeah.
Yep.
What about Dogma?
Chance,
both OD and IG movies.
Oh yeah, you're right. I was like, wait.
Are you ready?
That's a different Loki, I think, too. I mean,
first question. What is the name of
you're right.
channel who leads the Suicide Squad?
Well, actually.
Maybe that'll be like a top 10 list for Roka one day. Like top 10 Loki actors or something.
I love it. I love it.
This was a really big poll. I didn't know this question.
Yeah.
9mm?
I
didn't realize that they were asking for like the size of the bullet. I thought they were talking about like a replica or like something like that. Like I didn't realize what they were asking for, but that was a really impressive bullet.
Yeah.
That's a really difficult question. Yeah, like
it's a strange detail to focus on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Robert, I have a question for you. As a competitor, what's your mindset? What's the difference in your mindset when you're going in? Under the way that you're going in with Chance? What's the difference in your mindset as opposed to going first to going second?
So, like, if I'm in the lead, going first or second?
No, if you're behind,
okay.
Even if you're behind, what's the difference between going first and second?
I think, I don't mind giving this away. I think it's the same mindset as if you're in the lead, choosing to go first or second. If my strengths are different from the strengths of my opponent, I would rather go second.
Okay.
Because they are more likely to hit on stuff that they're weaker at that I'm really good at. So that's that. I don't mind giving that away too much. So like in this match particularly, I am good at stuff that Chance is not as good in. That's just the truth. So I don't mind going second, even if he wants to like put the pressure on and get in my head. It doesn't bother me, because I know that if he were to spin something that I'm good at that he's not as good at, I'm gonna get a lot of steals. On the other side, if I am good at something my opponent is also good at, I would rather go first to get it off the wheel. I'll take that thing. They won't get any steals, and that strength is off the wheel for them.
Right.
It's good strategy to have. I guess I can believe.
Yeah.
Parker, I'm so glad you and I agree on wheel strategy.
Yeah.
Let me just say.
And to be fair, that's completely different in like teams and singles versus IG.
Yeah.
But when you know at least 8 of the 12 categories that are going to be on the IG wheel, if you are good at stuff that your opponent is not,
get it.
You want like that dictates it more than usual.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely not. I'm good.
Okay.
And do you think, well, with IG, they get hyper specific when it comes to IG categories. Like there's worlds of DC kind of thing. So do you feel like that's kind of, really prepared you that much more efficiently, going into IG?
I mean, that specific category is just like shorthand for DCEU. They just don't know what to like. That's unlike Warner Brothers for not knowing what to name their franchise.
We gotta find an MCU title.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the Deathly Hallows no matter what, on every IG wheel, there's always going to be the core 8 categories, and then the other 4 are going to be like an amalgamation of something else. It's going to be spinner's and opponent's choice, and then 2 other things. And those 2 other things are what sinks most people.
So being down as far as you were, like, were you feeling any nervousness to this point? Were you starting to, or did you still feel like you had this? You could still
not when I spun Wizarding World, because that's a category that I know pretty well, and I know I'm better at the Chance. Like if you just put it on paper, I'm better at that category than Chance is. And also, he has a history of missing 5s. So I know that if I can clean house in round 2 and clean house in round 3, this is still inside base. Like this is still manageable. I can still come out on top.
20-14.
Do you when studying, did you grow up reading the Harry Potter books or anything?
For sure, yeah.
So, do you have a hard time at all? Because I know I do all the time. Where I'm like, okay, this is a book specific, this is a movie specific kind of thing. Do you ever get them mixed up at all?
Not so much, because I watched the movies more than I read the books. I definitely did grow up read the books, but I also grew up watching the movies. Like I like no joke, about an hour ago I was watching a Harry Potter movie with some friends, and I'm like, I want to know how. By the way, this is a really hard question. But real quick on this question, I knew that I would get it on multiple no matter what.
Yeah.
I knew I would not get it on 2. I knew he would not get it on 2. So here I was like, do I just leave it, or do I want to get the 1 point? Like that's strategically, that's what was going through my head right now.
Yeah.
Like try to risk it maybe, but no.
Exactly. Yeah. I knew I wasn't getting it on 2, and then as soon as they said A, I'm like, oh, that's it.
Yep.
That's such a weird.
It's such
a hyper. That's like a good 3 or 5 point question.
But I'm glad it's not a 3 or 5, because it would be almost impossible to 3 or 5 without multiple choice. I'm glad that they choose that to be a 2, where you are allowed multiple choice should you need it.
And and most people who I asked that question to needed the multiple choice. Like, I'm glad that yeah, it's the name of the book, but like they say it. Harry says it once in the movie. I literally watched that movie today. Like they say it out loud. It's a fair question. Absolutely fair question. Glad it's a 2 out of 5. Yeah.
What was that? I was saying like a throwaway line. Kind
You're
of.
watching with your friends. You're watching with your friends.
Oh yeah, I was watching Harry Potter. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I wonder how many times I've actually seen these movies. Because like, and that goes for a lot of categories, honestly. Not just Harry Potter, not just Lord of the Rings, like, but a lot of different things. I'm like, I wish I could have a counter back from like when I was 4 years old and started watching movies. Like, how many times have I seen these movies? Because I did grow up watching the movies. I also grew up reading the books and like stuff. There is differences, but it's never been enough to confuse myself in a question, because most of the time the way the question is written, it's something that didn't happen differently in the books. Like for example, like Neville gives Harry the gillyweed in Goblet of Fire in the movie. Dobby does it in the book. They've never asked who gives Harry the gillyweed. Like things where there are sort of
take your time.
Issues.
Question. You got this.
There's a word I'm looking for there. In situations where there are things that are different between the book and the movie, they usually don't ask those questions.
Yeah.
Take care of business.
Absolutely. I get them confused all the time. Where I haven't seen the movies as extensively. I remember for a long time I rewatched all the movies when I was in college, but for a long time I only saw the movie like once, maybe twice in theater, and then that's it. And I wouldn't watch it for like several years.
Yeah.
But for some reason I can like picture like scenes so clear though. I couldn't go into like hyper focused detail but I can remember whole scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
But I read the books all the time. That's probably why I remember a lot of the scenes so efficiently. But I'm so jealous that you're able to recall so efficiently.
It's truly for certain categories. It's just because I've seen them that many damn times.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to for a lot of different categories.
Do you write down questions at all, or do you just like watch movies and just read the information?
I have a really unique studying thing that I don't think a lot of people, even in like the Schmut on IG, have, which is like I used to be a question writer for a couple fan leagues, and I still help them out every once in a while. So like I have the perspective of a question writer, where I'm like, oh, would they really ask this? Like, I wouldn't ask as a question writer. Like, that's not good trivia. Like, that's not entertaining for a match for somebody to have to try to pull that. Like, so there's a certain level of discerning between what's a good question, what's a bad question that I think I have that other players don't necessarily have.
That's fair. I like that.
Now, going to round 3, I was going to ask some players are superstitious about their numbers or everything. Do you have any anything that you do about your numbers, like as far as like what you choose, or does it do?
There is one number that I will always choose as and it will always be my 5-pointer.
Okay.
And the other 2, I literally look around me and like I just try to just randomly think. So like sometimes like leading into Ace, like I had a couple friends like throw me a couple of numbers.
Right.
It didn't get to that, but the other 2, it's just random whatever, but one of my numbers is always really solid.
Okay.
But no, there are a lot of players who are like, these are always my 3 numbers, always in this order. Like there are a few competitors that I know who are very religious about the numbers.
No, it makes me smile, and I get the superstitions from a sports aspect as well.
Absolutely.
But like it's like you can't really tell. Is it like you're not like always the joke is oh, those are good numbers. Like, come on, we don't know what they are really.
Like 1, 2, 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
I gotta know. Do you like Kelsey's brought up? I feel like none of y'all seen Suicide Squad enough. Needing multiple hurt my soul.
I agree.
Do you have any like IG movie hot takes where you ended up like started out watching movies? Yeah.
So the clear one is the one on the poster behind me, is the Hobbit trilogy. I actually really like those movies. I find those movies extremely watchable. I memorize trivia from those movies extremely easily. And I know that is sort of a hot take because a lot of people when those movies came out, they're like, oh, this isn't Lord of the Rings. Because it's not. But that doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
So that is for sure one of the biggest ones. The other one, honestly, I don't think Suicide Squad's that bad. I think Green Lantern is watchable. I don't think that's that bad.
I say Kelsey's like somewhere somewhere at home, and she's like, "Yes!"
Like,
Kelsey's very happy.
I think Suicide Squad is better than Man of Steel. Like that's. You don't want to come to me for DCU rankings. That's not what you want.
I take coming in.
Yeah.
You lost me there. I still love you, but you lost me there.
Yeah. I just don't like Man of Steel that much.
All right.
Number
It's one of my favorites, actually. What are my favorites? That's okay.
Shows Back to the
All right, now this is a big question.
So this is the question of the match,
question.
really.
Written on the pie pan that Marty throws at Tannen to knock away his gun and save the Doc in Back to the Future 3.
And your face says it all.
So, first off, if you ask somebody who is 10 to 20 years older than me this question, they'll get it instantly. Yeah. Because they grew up with this trilogy, they grew up with the series, they grew up with these movies. I did not. This is a predictable miss for me. Mm-hmm. Even though I got my 2 in Back to the Future against Goddard. I like this movie. I have seen this movie 10 times since studying for IG. This is just a moment that I never picked out when studying. I do really like this movie. The morning of this match, I decided to either watch Back to the Future 3 or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and I chose to watch Last Crusade.
I love Last Crusade. I love that movie.
I love it too.
I stand by this because I don't want to beat myself up too much, and for my own mentality, I need to admit this to myself. Even if I had watched that movie this morning, I still don't think I would have hit it. I still don't think I would have. And there were a few people who were asked this question on call after the match. A few top name IG people, they didn't know it either.
Really? Okay.
So I think, especially for a 3, this is a pretty tough question, and that happens. That's part of the game, right? Yeah. People have been burnt, and also really, really helped by some questions being easier than others for the same point value.
Right.
In this match particularly, I was burned pretty hard by it.
Gotcha.
It's happened before. I've been helped by it. I've been hurt by it. It's part of the game. It just is. Even though the questions are the same point level, the difficulty can sometimes be different. And difficulty is subjective, and it is what it is. And I missed this question, and essentially that's the match. Mm-hmm. So I love this trilogy. I really do. I study it very, very hard. I will probably hit a lot of questions from this trilogy. This is just one particular one that is just outside baseball for me, that I just didn't write down, that I just didn't study, that I just didn't see that movie recently enough, that was just enough to make me not hit it. And I wasn't going to waste repeats. That's something I say in the post, I think, that I'm not going to waste repeats because I know that I'm not going to get there.
Right. And that's
I think it's more important to use a repeat on a question that you might get there versus one that you know deep down you're not going to get.
That's a good strategy to have. I completely agree with that one. So let's see. You see him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a fair question. It's a good question. I personally think it's a little hard for a 3, but I'm not the question writer. I'm not the host. I don't get to make those decisions, nor should I. I'm a player. Mm-hmm. I just have to answer the questions that are put in front of me, and I wasn't able to.
And PJ Campbell and his crew do a great job. They really
absolutely
do.
They absolutely do.
It's
like I said,
subjective too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Two question writers or hosts, Chance's 3 might be really, really difficult. I thought that was 1-pointer.
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion, and that's part of the game, and you just have to accept that.
Yeah, I've always said it. When I talk about this too, it always evens itself out. There's going to be times where you're going to get an question that you think is easy for her, and it's going to be the same. Over time, it's going to even itself out.
Yeah, absolutely.
The search for Spock.
As soon as they said science vessel in this one, I knew it right away. By the fifth word of the question, I knew it.
What is the name of the science vessel?
The USS. Yeah.
A science vessel.
Gives himself
what is a science vessel?
Lead
and
over Chance
who knows? If I had even hit the 3, he would have had to answer his 5. Maybe he misses his 5 and I win. Maybe he hits it right away off the cuff, and he it could have gone either way. But the fact of the matter is, I got a 3 that I didn't know, and that just happens in the game.
Absolutely.
All right, Chance, and your 2.
Now, how are you feeling at this moment?
I just knew that he needed to miss his 3.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it needed to go to a 5.
Yeah.
Because my 2 was granted, it's a pretty famous quote from Batman Begins, but it's a quote from Batman Begins.
Yeah.
His is, a planet from one of the most talked about Star Wars movies.
Right.
It happens.
Okay.
And then I knew he needed to miss this question.
Right.
Well, obviously, because he hits this question, he wins. But like, I knew he wasn't going to miss his 2. I knew he had to miss his 3 and he had to miss his 5.
Right.
And he has a history of missing 5, so I knew it was still possible. And then I just, my 3 was a word written on a pan, said out loud once, and in one shot of the movie. And his was something that's around for like 6 scenes.
Yeah.
And that happens in the show. That just happens in the game.
Yeah.
The Yule Ball is like really big part of Goblet of Fire. Like it's,
that's like a super 1-pointer.
So some people.
It's fair. It happens to the question writers, to the host, to the to somebody else who's not me. That might be a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
To me, it's not. It's said about 15 times, and there's 3 or 4 scenes that happen around that particular event.
Yeah.
But it happens, and it happened in Atlanta with 5-pointers. It happened to me with 3-pointers. It's part of the game, and I'm okay with that.
So now what's going through your head right now at this point? I mean, you had the big hype coming into the season. Here it is. You're facing everybody, and then it happens. You lose. What goes through your mind?
To be completely honest, the first thing that went through my head was take me off this screen because I let Kaiser down. To be completely honest, that's the first thing I thought. And then the second thing I thought was I missed 3 questions this match. 2 of them I wasn't going to hit. 2 of them, I thought back to talking to Bateman in Atlanta, and I was like, 2 of these were predictable misses.
Yeah.
The Back to the Future 3 question, which is a very small moment in that movie, is a predictable miss for me.
Right.
The mask question of a quote from that movie is a predictable miss for me. Okay. And even if I had hit that one Dark Knight question, even if I had studied a little bit differently on mixed bag questions, I still probably don't hit that 3, and I still probably lose that match. And that's I came to terms with that pretty quickly.
Well, if that's the case, like you said, those predictable misses, they happen. We're human, and everyone has, least favorites, and all that good stuff. Yeah. So in that case, how do you turn that predictable miss into an unpredictable miss? Essentially, like how do you?
That's a good question.
Yeah, how do you kind of change that mentality?
Yeah. I have a way that I study mixed bag movies specifically. I think if I get a perfect round 1, that match is very different. Even if I miss my 3, he still has to hit his 5. He still has to hit his 5. So I would say like the Dark Knight question I should have hit.
Right.
I absolutely should. Like there's no excuse for me for missing that question. I should have hit that question. Then it comes down to the mask question.
Yeah.
And that's a quote from that movie. It's a movie I've seen. It's a movie I don't like that very much. It's a movie that is not my age range. So I just didn't know it. I study mixed bag movies in a very specific way where I don't just know the data. I do know a lot of the stuff, but I hadn't seen that movie in a couple months. Even if I had seen that movie the week before, based on the way I study, I still don't think I'm hit that question. Mm-hmm. But if I do, of course, I know the bonus question.
Right.
So the score of that match really does change if I pick up those 2 points in round 1.
Yep.
So it comes down to changing the way that I study mixed bag movies, which like I study them a little bit differently than a couple other IG competitors. Like it's just a different way of studying. I still watch them. I still know all the data. I still know a lot of like question specific stuff about the movie. It's just that specific quote I didn't know. So I think it comes down to changing the way that I study those types of movies. And yeah, I didn't do that for this match. I didn't like I heard 1994 comic book movie and I heard the quote and I'm like, well, this genuinely could be The Mask. It could be The Crow. It could be The Shadow. And which one of the 3 is it? And I didn't want to use another repeat because I knew that it wouldn't help me because I heard the quote fine the first time. So I picked one of the 3 and I was wrong. And that happens. Yeah. So I think if I pick up those 2 points in round 1, I have a much better chance than even I think I have a better chance doing that than even hitting the 3. Because that's just because that means I go first in round 2.
Yeah.
Which means I spin whatever. What did Chance get? DCEU.
DCEU.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the spins change, the numbers in round 3 like everything changes if I pick up those points that I dropped. But I did, and that's what happened. So guarantee you that kind of stuff won't happen. Like I'm not going to drop another Dark Knight question. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, not kidding. I mean, like overall, it was really a great match.
Yeah,
sure.
Kudos to Chance. Kudos to Shannon. Like he played his heart. He didn't miss a single question. He had 100% accuracy. Had to go to multiple choice a few times. Didn't have to answer his 5, but like he needed to play perfect to beat me, and he did. And so I can't dig at that at all.
Are you almost proud of that then in that case? Like in order for someone
we'll see how the rest of the tournament unfolds.
Let me when I say that, let me just reword.
Sure.
You feel like in order for someone to beat you, someone has to be the best they can ever possibly be.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
like you said, he had a perfect match. I mean, that's fantastic,
Yeah, Chance has been playing in this league for 2 years, and accuracy-wise, this is the best match he ever played. Ever. In 2 years of playing in this league, this was the best match he's ever played. So if he has to be his absolute best to beat me, and he does it, I'm okay with that.
I'm not saying something too, because he's been on an upward trajectory for a while.
He's a great competitor. He's one of the true triple threats, one of the people that truly could be triple belted champion. And like, there's a lot of people who play in all 3 divisions. I don't think that those people necessarily can be champions of all 3 divisions. Chance is one of the people who genuinely could be.
Yeah.
So I am okay with him playing the best game he's ever played to beat me. I'm okay with that.
All right.
Yeah, I think there were, maybe there wasn't, maybe there was. I know that I was kind of on the doubting side of Chance for a little while. So watching this match was kind of a big, a foot in the mouth type of situation for me. So
yeah, same.
So it'll be really interesting to see what Chance does, because like you said, with the 100% accuracy and the way that he's just been improving, and you listen to people talk about Chance and the way that he studies and what he's been doing in this league so far, and who he's got on his side. He's got Mike Kalinowski on his side. So it'll be really interesting to see what he does next. He's facing the Barbarian next. Parker, if you had a chance to go up the Barbarian, would you plan for that or kind of train for that in any different sort of way as you would anyone else? Or especially because the Barbarian being another sort of rookie sensation, all of that stuff.
Yeah, Barbarian's great for stuff. Incredible competitor, incredible presence in the show. Like
incredible. But say you were like really.
Your mic got really low for a second.
Yeah, it got really
Sorry,
low.
can you hear me?
Barely hear you.
That's better.
Yeah,
That's
you're
better.
good now. Yeah.
Sorry. Barbarian's great. Truly incredible. I think I would prep for him in Inner Geekdom in a certain, like, yes, I think I would prep for him different than I would prep for Chance. In the sense that, like, I know that Chance has seen almost every Inner Geekdom movie, and I also know that Barbarian hasn't. I know that, like, and I said it in the post-match here, like, I think that if Chance and I played, like, every single day for the next 15 days, I probably beat him, like, 12 or 13 of them, just because I do know that, like, deep down, I know that I know more than he does about IG stuff. I know that I know more about IG stuff than Barbarian does. But any given day, in the spot on any given question difficulty, any given spin, it just happens. So I think that I would prep for Barbarian different than I prep for Chance. I know they both study very, very hard. They both have an incredible work ethic that's very commendable. Like, you have to give it up for people who really work hard to succeed in IG, because it is a lot of work. So when people do it, put in that work, you have to give it to them.
Absolutely.
And I know that both Chance and Barbarian do that. I think me versus Barbarian would be a very interesting match. We'll see what Chance is against him. I think Barbarian has just as good a chance against Chance, no pun intended. I think he's got a great shot against Chance. Yeah. I think Chance watches more to study than Barbarian does, but Barbarian also has just such an interesting study tactic. He just plays the game on a different level, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see those two philosophies clash.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that match.
So looking ahead, I mean, I don't know what you could actually talk to, or what's been talked about behind the scenes. You can't spoil anything. Is there a sense of, obviously you have the IG tournament and obviously the championship, between like then a spectacular, we're going to have more IG matches, or is the singles tournament, like maybe Team Circuit, like it's going to take up everything from like the rest of the time? Do we know?
I don't think I'm at liberty to reveal anything specifically. I know that me personally, my full focus right now is on helping the dungeon do as best they can in the near future. So that means Zip against Kalinowski. The full force of the dungeon studying tactic for IG is behind Zip in that match. I know that now that it's been announced, Kevin Smets is playing Chandru. Finally. That's been a match that's been in the works for a long time. The full force of my knowledge is helping Kevin study for that match. So I don't know what's happening the rest of the season. That's not me playing coy. I genuinely don't know what's happening for the rest of the season for like my personal career. But I know that the dungeon is a family, and I'm going to do as much as I can to back my friends and my family in every match that they play from here on out.
It says a lot, man. It's a lot about the dungeon you guys put together.
Yeah.
Should we put up the stats?
Family. Yeah. Parker, we've been fans of you for a very long time, so we're really glad that you ended up in the dungeon.
Can we look at the stats from the match? Looks like. Yeah.
Thank you to Megs, by the way, for putting this together. I believe in the chat. She is wonderful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
those are really good.
These are great.
100% accuracy, 84% 2 for Parker. It's good stuff. So take a look at that. I love that little quotes from the matches too. I love when she puts little quotes down.
Yeah, those are great.
Those are great. Thank you so much, Megs. I'll leave that up there for a couple seconds, and then we can go through that. But
absolutely. Well, as a competitor, what was like one of your favorite matches? I mean, sorry, not favorite. Sorry, that's a really weird question to say. What was your favorite moment as a competitor from this match? Or which one was like your?
That's a good. No, that's a good question. I would say like. I mean, just as like a fan of the show, like I loved just how competitive it was. I loved, like personally, as somebody who played in it, like not being able to take my bias out of it, I really liked my comeback in round 2. I thought I did really, really well in that round, and I'm very proud of how I did in that round.
Yeah.
Just seeing like the tension when I missed my 3, like not just just rewatching the match just now, like that's a big moment. Like that's a big question. That is really the match decider. So as much as I didn't like sitting there not knowing the answer, I thought that was a good moment for the match as a whole.
Yeah, that'd be such a great moment. I can't imagine what it must have been like to. It's just I told like Paul and Danielle the other day, I was like, I'm one of these people. Like I'm just amazed how you're just able to go into this and be like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna charge in, head forward and all that good stuff. And me being who I am, I get so filled with anxiety. I get so
not the only one, trust me.
Like I'm like shaking the entire time. I'm like, I have a moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Just because I just get so nervous, so quickly. So I'm like so jealous and impressed that you're able to kind of really be in control of yourself, like through like these like really intense matches like this. So
and I gotta give one shout out again. Like I would not have that mental fortitude if it weren't for the 3 years that I spent in different online divisions just playing trivia matches, whether or not be IG, whether or not be title matches, just playing matches, whether it be the same format or not, the same questions or not, like just playing, feeling those nerves, feeling that competitive spirit. Like that is how I got that mentality. Just if you miss, let it go, move on. Be nervous, let those nerves fuel you, don't let them inhibit you. Like that, I absolutely like give the credit to how long I spent and the people I played against and the people I played with, my friends, like in the family. That is how I became that kind of player.
Is there any advice you would love to give to any fan leaguers that are actively wanting to get in to Schmoedown, that are looking to, potentially get drafted next season?
That's a good question.
If you had like one little snippet of advice.
Yeah. Put the work in. You can't, in today's modern era of both the fan leagues and the Schmoedown, you can't get by without putting the work in, whether it's in singles and teams, studying on certain categories and things like that, or whether it's in an intergeekdom watching all, nearly 400 movies. Like you cannot sneak by just trying to know the game really well and knowing some of the trivia. Like, you really do have to put in the effort, and that is going to make the wins so much sweeter, and it's going to make the losses so much harder to take on the chin. But you just have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Absolutely. Love it. Loves it.
Definitely want to shout out and respect. I think I already sent you this in a DM, but I really respect you coming on after like a hard loss, after having to deal with the hype and everything else. You're saying it's a good sign. It's a good show of your character, man, that you can come on and talk about this and everything else. So I really, really appreciate you coming on for that. So.
For sure. I appreciate you all having me on. It's been a hot minute, so I'm glad to come back and chat with you guys about this.
I feel like the weight is off of your shoulders now. The Russians cut. All of that good stuff. So you don't ever have to worry about people putting these really high standards on you, which I'm sure had to have felt like a lot of pressure going into every single match that you've played, anything that you've gone into in this league so far. So now that you have this loss on your record, it'll be a little bit easier. In my opinion, I think it'll be a little bit easier for you to navigate through here without having to worry about people giving you
You're absolutely right. And you like say, the pressure that the fans put on, the pressure that like the other people in your faction and your manager and Christian, like all this kind of stuff, none of that compares to the pressure I put on myself. So the fact that I can spend the next month, 2 months, like not having to watch crappy IG movies honestly is a little bit of a blessing in disguise. And trust me when I say that me versus Smets is going to happen. It's going to be for the title.
Yes.
I am going to win my next however many matches it takes against the best that there is, because I wouldn't have it any other way. And don't you worry. The me versus Smets story is far from over. I will still be playing for the title in the near future. I just got to earn it now, and I'm excited to continue that story for myself.
Perfect.
Yay.
Well, speaking of continuing the story, obviously you're part of one of the best factions in Schmodown. Obviously, being part of the dungeon, like you said, it's a family. It's all about that Kaiser life specifically. How do you feel about this singles tournament?
Oh yeah.
Obviously you're a little biased, but you like some of your faction mates. You got Vinny, you got Video Drew, you got Zipper, Z-Man, and also you got Andres Galego. We haven't seen in matches yet. So are you, as an IG competitor, obviously it's very different, versus competing in singles and IG and everything. But what are you doing to help contribute to the to the family?
Yeah, I'm definitely sending questions here and there, but studying for team singles is so different from studying for IG. So I do what I can. I'm there for moral support for sure. I think the dungeon is gonna, we sort of in the IG tournament there was a lot of hype and pressure on us to perform. I don't think that pressure is there as much in singles, which is why I think we're going to surprise even more. I think Vinny is an incredibly underrated player. I think Drew could beat Mark Riley. I think Andres is going to come in and surprise some people. So do not count the dungeon out for the year yet. We are not done shocking people.
Okay. Hear that, guys? Heard it here. The dungeon is not out for sure. And I know Drew has mentioned on she's mentioned on Cinema Bias, she's mentioned with Video Chronic with Eric. I love their show when they really deep dives into like one or two movies. But she's mentioned she is hungry for that single belt. She is like angry for it.
She wants to play, and she's one of the biggest team players there is, as far as that support, as far as like the dungeon spirit, as far as being behind every single player no matter what. She is one of the biggest pieces of that kind of support on our team, and I really think she's going to show up this tournament. Same with Vinny, and same with Andres, and same with Zip too. We don't have names like Merle and Roka and Bateman and stuff like that, and Irwin. Like we don't have those big names, but that doesn't mean we can't get wins. That doesn't mean we can't show up and make a name for ourselves.
Absolutely,
absolutely. So. Can't wait to see all of them. Not to mention, I'm so excited to see like Andreas and Vinny. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see them do it.
There are so many people inside of this singles tournament. We have so many matches to go through. I'm so glad because it gives us a big opportunity to see a lot of people that we haven't seen before perform. And even if it is only for one match, for some people, it'll still be a good opportunity for a lot of us fans to see these people as competitors in the league. So this will be
absolutely
fun. 4 matches a week, y'all. Woo!
We're getting crazy. We're back in 2017. Let's go.
Who's the real winners of Schmodown? The fans. That's what's up. And also, Tim Franco. Yo, Mercs. That's what's up.
Mercs showing up. Ooh.
I'm happy. I can't wait to see that first round match. So the ones I'm looking forward to most Tim Franco versus Tom. That's gonna be oof.
Yo, it's gonna be so great.
Yes, so many good matches in the first, even just in the first round. So I can't even imagine like what the second round is going to look like whenever we get there. But this tournament season has been so much fun. It's been so exciting. I'm very curious to see if and when we do get the teams tournament. I know that there was some little bits of talk about it perhaps happening, so that'll be really very interesting. We have no idea when we're going to be able to get back into the studio, huh?
I know. Don't make me depressed, my dude.
I know.
Same,
but they have been doing such a great job with these online matches. Big shout out to Christian Harloff and the entire team over there. Eric Rodriguez for giving us these epic promos that keep us super pumped up for this whole thing. But these online matches have really been great, and the team deserves all of the credit because for as shitty as a year that this has been, yeah, that's right, girl. As shitty as years this has been, we've still been able to get quality matches and quality content coming out of the Schmodown. So I'm very glad for that.
I'm just excited. It gives us, stuff to do now more than ever as well. I'm just excited just to, chat more Schmodown and hang out with some awesome people, hang out with some friends.
We're going to have so much stuff to talk about.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, all right.
That's it. Unless there's any final questions, from the chat. I mean, Danielle, Paul, any of that?
We're good to go. Why don't we let Robert plug his stuff while we look for any chat?
Sure. You can follow me personally on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRK98. It's a really complicated title. Sorry. It's my first and last name involves plus a year. And that's about it. I'm not on any current shows right now. I'm just watching. I'm spending the next little while taking a break from IG studying. But don't get worried. I'll be back up on the saddle before you know it.
Sure.
It's also in the description below. Just giving you a heads up.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
We got you.
Danielle, do you want to plug what you have to do?
I was waiting for the cue. I didn't know if I should just start away for a cue.
You should just go ahead.
Y'all know me. You can find me on Twitter at Danie Joy. You can find me on Twitter at Watch the Book Pod. Watch the Book Pod. You can find me there on Twitter, and you can also find me here on the Call to Action Network every Monday, hosting Chill to Action with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio, right up there. Hanging out with the Schmodown Pro this week. Coming up, we got Mr. Eric Zipper.
Speaking of the dungeon, we got Eric Zipper coming on show.
There we go. Now we're talking. You guys got good taste.
Definitely.
Yeah, we like the dungeon over here, so we're good. So and that'll be interesting because tomorrow the Mike Kalinowski Eric Zipper match drops on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
On the tubes.
On the tubes, and that's it. You can find me on Facebook and all of that good stuff.
Okay.
That's also in the description box below.
Yeah.
That's right. And tomorrow we are going to do Call Live, and we'll break down that as well. We actually have some guests on Call Live tomorrow night. We have Rachel Silvestrini and Marisol McKee coming on. So that should be two great women talking about the upcoming singles tournament. And also we'll probably talk a little bit about the Schmominati and how that's going to affect the rest of the league. Because, it's definitely real since we are at the altar of Team Guy. We have to believe the Schmominati at this point. So
what do you mean we have to believe? It is real.
I know it is. I'm just saying.
You're making it seem like it's something that's optional.
No, it's not.
I don't appreciate that.
I'm just saying we're obviously going
to talk about it. We're
obviously
to talk about it, and now
we're contractually obligated.
Good try. Hey, Andres, thank you.
Hey, Andres.
Dungeon in the house. That's true at this point.
Take it easy, my friend.
My dude, you are in my fan league, so heads up. So
Mine as well. Mine as well, actually. Different fan league, but mine as well. So do us proud. So.
Yeah.
You can find me at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me also in Chilled Action every week. You can find me tonight entering the Gucci verse. Should be a lot of fun. And tomorrow on Class Action with Ben Bateman on the Action Industries YouTube channel. So that should be a lot of fun as well. That's 9 Pacific tomorrow. So.
Exactly. You can find me every single Wednesday chatting up here on Wednesday. Obviously, I just said that, but on Schmobates, where it is a Schmodown themed debate show. Actually, I've had everyone here actually debate. Paul actually recently debated in a Schmobate really focused on the Star Wars tournament, which is fun. Danielle was a finalist in the Schmobate Tournament of Champions, and she was amazing. She went up against Bibbs and Rachel Silvestrini, so it was fantastic. And also Parker, he played against, James White not too long ago, and one of my favorite Schmobate matches of the year. So it's been a blast. If you haven't seen any of them, go check them out. It's a whole playlist. It's a fun time, I guarantee it. Starts at 9:30 Central, so go do that, right? Meow.
Right.
And right, meow. On Tuesdays, I also host a show called Cinema Bites with Video Drew from the Dungeon as well, where we dive into a movie every week where only one of us has seen and the other one hasn't. We talk about our movie biases when it comes to directors, genres, all that good stuff. And this Tuesday, we're going to be diving into Warrior.
Ooh, who has it?
Gavin O'Connor.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
By Gavin O'Connor. It is a huge movie for the Action Army. If you're not familiar, I'm so excited. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Ben or Drew on. Unfortunately, things didn't work out schedule-wise, but we're excited to kind of really dive into that and hopefully have some people from the Army come and hang out with us. That'll be really cool. We're also going to talk about Pee-wee's Big Adventure here pretty soon. No, I do not want to watch that.
It's a great movie.
Oh God, I do not want to watch that movie. That movie just makes me so grossed out. Oh.
I love that movie.
I do too.
No,
just because it's Paul Rubens.
No, it's just that there's I've seen a handful of scenes from it and be like, okay, Tim Burton. I like Tim Burton. I like comedies. I like this kind of weird style, and there's entire scenes that just makes me so uncomfortable to watch. It just we're doing Tim, we're doing that the week after next. So it is going to be the 28th, July 28th. I don't want to do it.
Great TV. It sounds like torturing Alex. So.
One of my favorite memes is the Pee Wee in Texas meme. That's
nice.
Yeah, sorry.
It just makes me uncomfortable. I just have a hard time explaining it. It just really does. There's certain visuals. Like some people have melt movies or something, and that makes them uncomfortable. The style that he does is just some scenes in Beetlejuice make me uncomfortable. I just full on. I just skip the scene. I'm like, nope, F it, nope, just not gonna do it.
Well, I like Beetlejuice also.
Yeah, I like Beetlejuice except for 5 scenes. So anyway, but regardless, come hang out with Drew and I this Tuesday, and we'll be talking about Warrior. So it's gonna be a fun time.
Sweet. All right then. I guess then, with no further ado, we love you guys. Thank you so much again, Robert Parker, for popping on and hanging out with us for a little while.
Appreciate it. Thank you both.
Definitely have you on again sometime in the near future, as best we can.
Sounds good.
And that's it. Until next time, we all salute you.
Have a great one.
Bye, everybody.